I got you. Let it rap real quick. Look. The city eyes, it's time to vote God. My God, a real nigga, cause he wasn't no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure, got that shot in the closet by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard, but tell them it's all true. Be cautious, that foundation falls to you fall through. They gon' fall. Look, I keep this shit 50 times two. Ain't no more heart in this game, I'm John Q. Colder than the avalanche, way above average. Fierce taste sweet, told him make me an apple tree. Left us in the valley full of bones, this where hope found. Child become a man, dark sands get broke down. Riding through Evanston with Mark Quad, telling me how the crackers turn his childhood to a ghost town. Focus out, nigga, I lay that game down. I feel his pain, cause nothing is the same now. Never light shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, no tangent. Try to warn them niggas, we bear arms like tarantula. Them mother niggas rap, I make anthems. I really seen prophets under this banner. Made my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I wanted black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that sunk dirty to handle. Look, I move like a Brazilian, precious cargo, spirit Asian, but I got a new semi-auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Wardo. Sleep if they won't, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Pay me for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like Dorothy when the heels touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Ride with Yaradon, just left the state bridge. Looking for a bitch better than Baby's kid. Remember I dropped Quiet Storm, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Yabashim Yashai brought the thumb to the brothers, Yabashim thumb Bashim Yashai to the sisters. Police Officer Parak holding down the Tuesday Brotherhood class for the ISUPK out of Arizona. If you're watching online, we got classes every Tuesday through Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. And every Saturday we hold our Sabbath service at 11 a.m. We're at 124 16 North 28th Drive, in suite number 4 in Phoenix, Arizona. Right off of the corner of 28th Drive and Cactus. Tonight, once again, it's a brotherhood class, and we're going to be teaching about discipline and order. All right, that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what today's class will be about. Our title is "You Can't Serve God Without Discipline and Order." All right, they go hand in hand. If you're going to serve the Most High, you must have discipline and order, and you must have the spirit of obedience unto the Most High and to the men that the Most High is set in place to represent Him. We understand that. It's all throughout the Bible, and that's why we're going to teach it specifically and strictly out of the Bible. If we get 1 Corinthians, the 14th chapter. All right, the 14th chapter of 1 Corinthians. We'll read this, and we're going to understand something. See, Paul, a lot of times people go to Paul to try to make very minuscule points about Jesus Christ and about the Most High God. People use Paul like a tool, but Paul was actually a very wise and smart teacher. All right, and he taught us some excellent and valuable lessons that a lot of people, they just gloss over those things because they're looking for things in the New Testament that were written by Paul to back up their doctrine. All right. Well, in here we're not about trying to bend the Bible to back up our doctrine. And here we just need the Bible for what it is. And we're going to find that Paul gave us some excellent lessons and some understandings on how to truly serve the Most High God. We're going to be in a lot of books that were written by Paul today. All right. Starting off with 1 Corinthians, the 14th chapter, and let's get the 37th verse.
1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 37.
Okay.
if any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of the Lord.
One thing we have to understand, that's why I wanted to preface this class with this scripture, all right, with this verse. We have to understand that the things that Paul wrote, the Most High ordained those things to be in our Bible. You understand that? Paul wrote a multitude of letters, and that's what you find the book of Hebrews. I'm calling them books on purpose because that's what a lot of people call them. The book of Hebrews, the book of Corinthians, the book of Galatians, the book of Romans, the book of Ephesians, the book of Colossians. Everybody calls those books. In all actuality, those things are just letters that Paul was writing to specific groups of people to teach them. He was writing these letters to people to teach them because that's what he was. He was an instructor and a leader of his church, the church that, of course, Christ sent them on this mission to build, right? And so one thing that we have to understand is what Paul writes in these letters are only there because of commandment from the Most High. Let's read verse 40. So we're just going to skip down a couple verses to verse 40.
Verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order.
And that's what tonight's class is going to be about. Tonight's class is going to be about the fact that Paul, your beloved Paul, tells us that all things must be done decently and in order. Let me get Colossians, the 3rd chapter. We're going to understand what Paul means by that, by everything must be done decently and in order. A lot of people are out of order. They don't want to fall in line. They don't want to take command from men. We find that Paul gives command because he was given that authority by the Most High. But then for some reason, people believe that men stopped receiving that authority after 100 AD when Paul died, around 80 AD. You understand? People believe that there's nobody else on the earth that has that authority given to them by the Most High God to give command. Well, we're going to put that to rest. All right. We're going to put that to rest today. So let's get Colossians, the 3rd chapter, and let's read the 22nd verse.
Colossians chapter 3, verse 26. Or
22.
22.
Mm-hmm.
Servants, obey in all things your masters according to the flesh.
Right. This is saying servants obey. Now, once again, I told y'all we was going to be in Paul's letters a whole lot. All right. Because once again, people want to go to all these different letters of Paul to prove all these different doctrines, but we're going to actually learn something tonight from Paul's letters. All right. Read that one more time.
Colossians chapter 3, verse 22.
Mm-hmm.
Servants, obey in all things your masters according to the flesh.
Right. Obey your masters according to the what?
To the flesh.
We have to understand something. Paul is telling us that we have masters according to our flesh, not just the Most High God, not just Jesus Christ. We're talking about masters according to the flesh. There are men that were set up by the Most High God to rule over you. We have to understand that. Just like Moses, in the time of Moses, he was ruling over the people. The scriptures called him a God. The Most High God called Moses instead of God, meaning in the place of God. That was Moses. That was a man. You understand? A man that made mistakes, right? He couldn't even get the kingdom because of mistakes that he made. Nonetheless, the Most High gave him the authority to rule over the people. We have to understand that, right? So now we see servants. Let me get where we at in this. Let me get the physical. So lock in. Keep reading.
Not with eye service,
Mm-hmm.
as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God.
Fearing who?
Fearing God.
Fearing who?
Fearing God.
Notice this doesn't say fearing man. So yes, you are going to yield yourself to the men above you. That's what you must do. That's what men since the beginning of time had to do under the authority of the Most High God. However, your obedience to the men that the Most High has set in place, your obedience proves your fear of the Most High. Not of men. We just read you don't want to be a man pleaser. You're not doing this to please men.
Right.
You're doing this to please the Most High God.
Right.
And obedience and order pleases the Most High God. We know that because the whole reason we're in the condition that we're in right now is because of our lack of obedience. We didn't listen to the judges. We didn't listen to the priests. We damn sure didn't listen to Moses. We didn't listen to Joshua. We didn't listen to nobody. We damn sure didn't listen to the prophets. We killed them. We killed Jeremiah and Isaiah. You understand? We didn't listen to nobody that the Most High set up, and that's why we're in the condition that we're in today. So the Lord loves obedience and order. You have to love it just the same, right? Let's keep going. Verse 2. Slide 23. Colossians 3 and 23. Mm-hmm.
And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men.
And here we see this again. You're not doing this for the men that you're obeying. You're actually obeying God. Do these things like God himself commanded you to get these things done. When you receive, now this is something that, of course, only men in the ISUPK that are in this body are going to understand. But when you receive an order, don't take it like captain of such and such gave you this order. Officer of such and such gave you this order. General such and such gave you this order. No. Take it as the Most High God has given you this order. That's what you must do, because that's what Paul said. You want to take everything else that Paul said? Well, this is something we can learn from Paul too. He's saying do it heartily. Do it with your might. Do it with your heart. As to the Lord and not unto men. Keep going.
Verse 24. Knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance. Mm-hmm. For ye serve the Lord Christ.
Right. That's your service to the men that the Most High has placed above you to give you direction and to give you order. Your service is really your service to Christ. That's what you got to understand. And Paul's trying to make, especially when we go into the history of the church at the Colossians, right? They had a tough time with following order. They had a tough time. They would fight amongst each other. They didn't want to listen and take counsel. So Paul is writing this to reaffirm something that is not just Paul saying it, but the Most High has put this in the Bible over and over and over again, giving us example after example, showed us what happens when we don't obey. All right. So Paul is giving us a reminder. And here we are 2,000 years after this, reading it again, because we all need a reminder as well. All right. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Verse 25. But he doeth wrong.
But
he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done. Mm-hmm. And there is no respect of person.
And if you do wrong, you're going to receive for the wrong that you have done. Because once again, you're not doing wrong to the men that are above you, giving you orders. You're doing wrong to the Most High God. You're doing wrong to your King, Yahushua Mashiach, who put his life on the line on that cross for you. You're doing wrong to him. And there is no respect of persons. We go into Leviticus, I believe it's the 19th chapter. It says that there shall be no respect of persons according to judgment. So I don't give a damn how much money you got, how much respect that you got in the community. It don't matter. The Lord's going to judge you the same way he would judge the Joe Schmo up the block. Let me get Hebrews, the 13th chapter. We have to understand this, and it's of the utmost importance, all right, that we follow order and keep discipline. Because the second that we allow discipline to slip away from us, we're falling out of the discipline and obedience to the Most High. And I've seen it happen too many times. That's where people that lead the truth, that's where they start to lack first. They stop checking in. They don't want to call, right? They don't want to complete orders. They don't want to take orders. They don't want to listen to counsel. They don't want to do nothing. Well, that's just all that is a lack of discipline and obedience and order. That's all that is. And that's the first thing to go. Next thing you know, his cover is hanging up somewhere in some school across the United States somewhere. You understand? Because he left the truth. You stop your service to God when you stop obeying the rulership that the Most High has set up. All right, let's get Hebrews, the 13th chapter and the 17th verse.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17. Mm-hmm. Obey them that have the rule over you.
Now, of course, this is the author of Hebrews. Some people say it's Timothy. Some people say it's Paul. Some people say it's Peter. We believe that this is most likely Paul that wrote this letter. And this is the same Paul that we just read about in the book of Colossians and in the book of 1 Corinthians. All right. He's writing the same thing consistently because this is something that people tend to forget a whole lot. All right. Obey them that have rule over you. You know, they used to put this in the slave Bible all right, which was back in the time of chattel slavery, all right, about 300 years ago. All right, they used to have what's called a slave Bible, where they would put specific verses out of context, all right, into this pamphlet style, what they would call a Bible, and they would utilize it to get slaves to conform to the slavery and to feel good about being a slave. This is one of the things that they would use. They would use this verse to say, you need to obey your master. You need to obey your slave master. In all actuality, that's not what this is talking about at all. This is talking about a rulership that was set up by the Most High, not a slave master, but somebody that has charge over you in the sight of the Most High God, meaning they watch for your soul. Somebody that's taking care of you, but somebody that takes care of you must give you order, must give you direction. Much like a father. A father is going to, he of course loves you. He's watching over your soul. He needs to make sure that you're okay. He needs to make sure that you're healthy, make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. He's also going to check you, and he's going to get on you if you're not doing the right thing. And that don't always feel good, but it's his job, and he's the one that has rule over you. The reason why he has to be that way is because it's his job, because he's going to essentially be the one that gets charged for how you've grown up, because it was his fault whether you come out good or bad. You have
right. No, what you're saying is heavy. This class topic is so heavy, and it teaches people how to be what I've grown very happy into knowing and more about. It's teaching people how to be functional in a society.
Right.
You know, so often and so much we encourage dysfunctionality in the Black and Hispanic community, whether it's with women, how they conduct themselves, or men, how they conduct themselves. A man can go out and kill and slaughter and deal drugs in the community, and a woman can go out and whore her body and mistreat her children and things like that, and that is dysfunctional. But everything in this Bible is practical.
Right.
It is practical, and it is good for education.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm paraphrasing. And so to say this, it's 2024, and you can pick whoever the hell you follow. You want to follow Joe Byron, you want to follow TD Jakes, you go ahead and do that. I wouldn't advise it, of course, because you can see what kind of leader they are by what they do.
Right.
But I would have you follow these brothers in the ISUPK. They're so hardcore and so charitable and loving that I wouldn't follow anyone else. Right. But if you decide who your leader is, don't start talking bad about him. Right. Don't start being a little backbiting a woman. Right. Don't start you're acting like you didn't choose to get in this line. Right. Everybody follows somebody. If you are a woman and you pick a husband, that husband is following somebody, something, some essence, some mentor, something, his father, or whatever you want to call it. Right. His heavenly father or his earthly one. Now you decided to get in line with that. Now don't switch your mind up and derail the train. Right. You know what I mean? And if that man, if you do right, this is what God is saying. If you do right, God will get you up off of that track and put you where you need to be. You know what I mean? If you only believe, select. Right.
Damn right.
No, I was just gonna say, it's like, don't be a gunner or a 6'9". You know what I'm saying?
Save yourself.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Because you following these men, right? Like, make sure you know who you following, right? Yeah. Like, make sure you know what you're getting into.
That's the man's ass.
Right.
You over here. I'm over here hanging with Young Thug because I'm getting a lot of money. Then as soon as it gets bad, throw the whole gang under.
Right.
Right. Don't be scared of that. You know what I'm saying? It's
right. No, and that's why righteous leadership is of the utmost importance.
Right.
Like, you got to have righteous leadership, because otherwise that's where you get your Young Thugs and your Gunners from. Right. You understand? I mean, Young Thug ain't came out and snitched on nobody like Gunna did, but they still that's equally terrible to me, because they've built their success based off of the demise of their own people. Right. So, I mean, the biggest thing that we can learn from situations like that is something that you said that was so heavy is everybody is following somebody or something. You know, sometimes you're following a man, sometimes you're following that blunt, sometimes you're following your drug addiction or your lust. Regardless, though, everybody's following somebody, and you have to acknowledge who that is and make the educated decision on whether or not that's what you should be following or not. Right? So let's keep reading. Start from the top. Yeah, 13 and 17.
Obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
For they watch for your soul.
That's why you have to look. Once again, it's Paul is writing to grown men. All right, I want y'all to understand that. And within the church, there's always been what you could consider a ranking system. There's always been people that have a higher rank, that have men underneath them. And here we have much more of the military structure like you find in the so-called Old Testament, where you have captains of thousands, you have officers of thousands and hundreds, you have lower level like helps and troopers and things like that, right? But regardless, there's always been a ranking system. And you find that all throughout the Bible. And Paul talks about it. It's all throughout the scriptures, all right? And Paul is talking to these grown men that are within a rank system. And he's letting them know, or reminding them, like we all need to be reminded at times, all right, that the reason that they have been set over you and the things that they might say or do is because they watch over your souls. Think about, once again, the analogy that I made earlier. A child looks at his father, looks up to his father for guidance, for help, for resources, for wisdom, all of these things. And they love their father for that, and they need their father for that. But at the same time, if you mess up, your father's going to get on your ass, excuse my language. And he's going to cuss you out. He's going to check you. He might have some repercussions and some consequences. And at that moment, during that time, while you're getting checked and while you're getting, reproved, you're going to not like that. You're not going to feel good about it. You're going to feel like you're right and they're wrong. And that's a child's way of thinking, but that's just how humans are. You have to keep in your mind, instead of getting that feeling of, man, why are you talking to me like that? Or why is he making me do this, this, and this? Why is he going so hard on me? The reason why is because they watch over your souls. Keep reading.
So like, as they that must give account.
And that's the other thing that you have to take into account when you're getting checked, when you're getting reproved, when you're getting orders, when you realize that there's a man above you that's in charge of you, they got to give account for you. We always say this in here: with rank comes authority and responsibility. And when it's you as an officer of 5,000 and an officer of 50 or a trooper, you're the one getting checked for the actions of that trooper or that officer of 50. You understand? You're going to get checked for it. Why? Because it's your job, being the person that has been set by the Most High God to be an authority over this younger man. You're going to be the one that's held responsible for the decisions that they make. It's on you. The same way that a father is going to be held responsible. What's that woman? Her son went got a pistol from out her house, right? From next to her bed or something like that. He got a pistol, brought it to school. They found it. She's the one going to jail for it. Why? The child's the one that brought the damn gun to school. But because it's her job to make sure she locks her goddamn guns up, checks her kid's bag before he goes to school, make sure he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Because she didn't, right, she's responsible. So because she failed at her responsibility, she goes to jail now. Right. And that's life. I can't blame the judicial system for coming up with something like that. That's in the Bible. You understand? So we have to take those things into account. So when you get in check, it's not out of anger and hate. It's out of love, because they're watching over your soul and they have to be the one to give account for you. Let's keep reading.
God. That they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you. Once again, that they may do it with joy and not with grief. If you go hold for me, Titus, the book of Titus, the 2nd chapter. You want them to do it with joy and not with grief. Because if it's with grief, if they checking you with grief, that's not profitable for you. What we was just talking about. A man above you, their job is to make sure that you're good.
Make sure that you're being raised the right way. Make sure that you're making the right decisions. Make sure you're taking the counsel that you're supposed to be taking. That's our job. All right. And that's what's profitable. And see, most of us, if we'd have grown up like that, a lot of us, when we come into the truth, we already, we way past, unless you're like these anomalies that we got in here. Some of these brothers is now starting to come in at 12, 13, 14. You understand? But most of us came into the truth after 20s, 30s, 40s, some of us 60, 70 years old coming into this thing. If we would have had that type of guidance and that type of leadership over us coming up, there would be no ghettos in America. You understand? There would be no so-called black on black crime. All right. There would be no gang violence. There would be no drug abuse. There would be no single mothers or single fathers. Right? There would be two-parent households all across the country wherever there is a black family. But we didn't have that. We didn't have that type of leadership. We didn't have nobody to teach us right from wrong. And because that's the case, we live in the condition that we live. Now, we're being extended the opportunity to have that righteous leadership. People, men that can give us the righteous leadership, righteous counsel, righteous guidance, and wisdom. So that way we can get what a lot of people like to call these generational curses. So that way we can get out of these generational curses. You understand? And that's the way you got to look at it. You can't serve the Most High without that type of discipline, without falling into order. You can't serve the Most High God like that. It's always been the same. The Most High has always set his prophets, his priests up to make sure that the people of Israel, the children of Israel, are being raised up properly. But it's up to us to listen. If we're not going to listen, then we can't serve God. Once again, right? So let's get Titus, the 2nd chapter and verse 9.
Titus chapter 2 and verse 9. Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own master.
And we keep seeing the same thing over and over again. Once again, I told you we was going to just be sticking with Paul. We in all New Testament. I ain't trying to, y'all think that the so-called God of the Old Testament, which is the same God of the entire Bible, y'all think the Old Testament God is some different God who's just angry and mean. That's why I'm specifically staying in this so-called New Testament to show y'all that this is something that Christ approved of, the Most High approved of. This is something that we must follow right now here in 2024. It's been the same since the beginning of time. All right. And we keep seeing the same thing and there's a reason why Paul is saying this to so many different people. Every letter that he's writing, you see, he's telling these brothers, hey, the servants need to stay in order. These brothers got to stay in order. We're going to talk about women in a minute. These women got to stay in order, know their place. Why? Because that's essential to serving the Most High God. Read that from the top again, Baba Kushal.
Titus chapter 2, verse 9. Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own masters, and to please them well in all things, not answering again.
And this is something else too. What does not answering again mean? No talking back. This is just like a child and his father, but that's the way that righteous leadership is set up. You just do what you're told. A lot of times people have that problem. You had a problem with it when you was a child too, because you didn't do what your daddy told you to do back then either. And so Paul once again finds necessity to have to repeat himself over and over again to make sure people get the message. You understand? Please them well in all things, not answering again. Go ahead.
Verse 10, not purloining anything. It's like not purloining, but showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of God, our Savior, in all things.
Right. So now let's get 1 Peter, the 5th chapter. All right. This is gonna be a quick class. We damn near almost done. I'm just going through all of these things to show you how necessary it is. We're gonna go into 1 Peter, and we're gonna find that Peter thought necessary, the rock of the church, the head of the church. He thought necessary as well to include it in his letter to tell these brothers that we must be obedient. You understand? See, Christ says something. He said, whatsoever you bind in earth shall be bound in heaven. If you can't obey the men that God has set up in earth, how do you think that you're going to make it in the kingdom of heaven? because whatsoever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And you got trouble taking orders right here on planet Earth, right here in the modern society that is absolutely terrible. You need leadership, you know you do, but you won't even take orders. You won't follow through. Well, Christ said it himself, and we're gonna read that in just a second too. I don't want to skip. All right, but Christ said it himself. You're not gonna make it if you can't just follow simple orders. Let's get but first let's get 1 Peter. 1 Peter 5:5.
1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder.
And that's what we got to do. The brothers that have, we talk now, this is not talking about an age as in, I'm 20 something years old. I got to just submit to this gray headed 70-year-old that don't know a goddamn thing. This isn't talking about that type of age. This isn't talking about that type of elder. This is talking about somebody that is that's been in the knowledge of the truth for far longer than you, that's been studied and put in a whole lot of work, much more work than you. All right, we got brothers in here that are older than Commanding General Yohana that is going to call him Lord, going to call him Adawan, going to call him Sir, and going to yield to him and take orders from him. Not because of an age difference, but because of the fact that Commanding General Yohana has been doing this for 40 years, longer than anybody else that's working in the nation of Israel right now. All right, so we're going to yield to him. He put in all of the foundations so that way we could be here right now in the truth. All right. So that's why I say ye younger, us younger in the truth, submit yourselves unto the elder. All right, keep going.
Yea, all of you be subject one to another,
and
be clothed with humility.
And that's another thing that we have to understand. This goes hand in hand. When we talk about obedience and order, we also have to understand that the men above you are serving you too. A lot of people forget that. A lot of times you think, why do I got to fix him a drink? Why do I got to do this for him? He need me to get this order done. I got to do this with the internet. I got to put this social media content up. Why I got to do all of this? What's he doing for me? He's guiding you. He's leading you. He's building you up. You don't think he had to do this at one time? You don't think he was doing all of that? All right. You're going to get these orders. You're going to get told what to do. And if you're in the wrong spirit, you're going to think, well, damn, I'm just getting bombarded with all of these orders and with all of these things that I got to do. What is he doing for me? That's the wrong spirit, because the thing that he's doing for you is exactly what the Bible prescribed him to do, which is to teach you, lead you, raise you up, give you counsel, give you wisdom. That's what his job is. And if you can't realize that, you're not going to last. And just like what Paul said, if you have to do these things heartily as unto the Lord and not unto men, you're not going to have that spirit. You're gonna feel like you're doing this for men, and you're gonna fail at everything. All right. Keep going.
For God resisteth the proud and giveth grace to the humble.
If you could hold for me, Luke the 6th chapter. Now we're done with that. All right. God resisted the proud and giveth grace to the humble. That's what we got to understand. See, the description that I just gave was of somebody that was proud. All right. You sound like a goddamn scorned woman. Like a what have you done for me lately? You understand? That's not the way to look at these things. That's how people treated Moses. People treated Moses like he brought them out into the wilderness to kill them, to get them to die from starvation. That's how people dealt. That's how people treated Moses. All right. And the Lord is telling you, don't be that way. You can't allow yourself to get into that spirit. The second you do, that's Satan coming in. We just had we had a class on this on Saturday, right, with the Sabbath service. And we talked about Satan creeping into your mind. That's just Satan creeping into your mind. Satan is going to try to get you to disobey every godly order that you've received, because you feel like you're too proud to do it. You feel like, what have you done for me? Or you just having me do this just to have me do something. If you got that spirit, that's just Satan. And you're going to allow Satan to win. And you'll be on the street somewhere. You're going to leave the truth, be on the street begging for change. That's what you're going to do. All right, let's get Luke the 6th chapter and the 46th verse.
It's like book of Luke. It's like in Spanish. That's book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 46. And why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say?
Oh my God. And this is something, this is Christ speaking, right? I'm gonna see, let me see. We might want to read up a little bit on this. All right. Let me see something real quick. Well, really, this is Christ. I'll just to sum it up, right? This is Christ speaking to the multitude, and these people are asking him questions, and they would always come up to Christ and they would call him Lord, they would call him Master. All right, lip service. And Christ goes on to say, why are you calling me Lord and you don't do a goddamn thing I say? See, what you say don't mean a damn thing. That doesn't denote servitude or obedience by the things that you say. All right. What are we saying here when we saying yes, sir? We say "Khan out of one Khan," right, which means yes, Lord. When we're giving an order, we say "Khan out of one Khan." All right. But if you're not going to do the thing that they telling you to do, it don't matter that you say "Khan out of one Khan." And that's what Christ is saying here. He said, why are you calling me Lord, but you don't do a damn thing that I tell you to do? Keep going.
Verse 47. Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doth them, I will show you to whom he is like.
So Christ's finna get ready to go into a parable, right? And he's telling you, the man that heareth what I say and doeth them. He's putting the two together because one without the other is asinine. It makes no sense. It doesn't work when you're talking about being a servant or obedient. All right. Christ is saying you have to do both. You have to hear what he's saying and do them. See, it's nothing worse than being told somebody giving you an order and it's falling on deaf ears. Somebody giving you counsel and it's falling on deaf ears. It's a waste of time. So Christ is getting ready to go into this analogy, all right? And he's going to break it down and explain to you exactly what the difference is between somebody that just hears and doesn't do and somebody that hears and follows the order, follows through with the order. Go ahead, verse 48.
Verse 48. He is like a man which built a house and digged deep and laid the foundation on a rock.
Mm-hmm.
And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently upon that house,
mm-hmm,
and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock.
So what is this saying? A man that hears the words of Christ and doeth them, putting them two together, he's got a solid and sturdy foundation. All right. So that way when trouble comes, they have what Christ has given them, the wisdom and the understanding, and kept the command of Christ. And so that's what that stream, right, that beats vehemently up upon that house, it's not going to be able to shake you. Why? Because you followed orders. See, there's a lot of people that say that they follow Christ, but when that time comes and that flood comes, your house is going to get swept away, like what we're about to read. Verse 49.
But he that heareth and doth not is like a man that without a foundation built an house upon the earth.
And this other man, he didn't have a foundation because he didn't do what Christ told him to do. He didn't follow the command. So he built a house on no foundation. He just set some wood on the ground and just started building up. Keep going.
Against which the stream did beat.
And that same stream that we just saw start beating on this house with no foundation. Keep going.
Vehemently. And immediately it fell.
It ain't take no time. It couldn't resist. Keep going.
And the ruin of that house was great.
And that house got utterly destroyed. Hold for me, John, the 14th chapter. That house got utterly destroyed. Why? And it had no foundation. What is Christ telling you the foundation is here? Hearing and doing what he told you to do. It all comes from that. And you have to be able to understand that and make that correlation within your life. Once again, Christ said that whatever is bound in earth shall be bound in heaven. He's going to tell you what to do. And the people that the Most High, the men that the Most High have set up, are going to tell you what to do, just like Christ did, just like Moses did, just like Joshua did. all these men that the Most High has set up, they're going to help you to build that strong foundation for your house. So that way, when that flood comes, you're going to be straight. You're going to lock all your doors up. You're going to let that water pass. You're going to open up the windows, open up the doors when the sun comes shine again, and you'll be straight. You're going to be looking down the street at somebody that didn't have that foundation. Their house done washed up like it's Hurricane Katrina because they didn't have the foundation. And most people don't understand this, but when Christ returns, that's exactly what it's going to be like. We're going to be saved when, and I say us, meaning us that keep the law, statutes, and commandments in the charge of Christ. Lord allow, right? When Christ returns, we'll be saved from any sort of destruction that's coming to this place. But those that did not keep Christ's words, they're going to be taken away with the destruction of this place. Right? Let's get John the 14th chapter and the 23rd verse. I believe we're just going to close it out with this. John 14 and 23. 23. Okay, John chapter 14, verse 23.
John chapter 14, verse 23. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my word.
See how important it is for you to keep the words of Christ? Christ is called our master, right? Well, we have to keep the words in the charge of our master. And it's so important to Christ that he's telling us you don't love him if you don't keep his words. That's how serious he's taking it. We can go into 1 John, the 3rd chapter, the 5th chapter, and find that you cannot love the Most High if you don't do what he say. Love is an action. That's what love is. Love is an action. And if you truly love the Most High and you love this truth, then you will do and keep the charge that the Most High has set up before you. Keep going. Middle of 23.
And my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him.
And that's the same way the charge that you keep. It says, if you love Christ, you'll keep his words, and the Most High will love you. And we will come unto him and make our abode with him. That's how serious it is. Now, once again, we just read Paul saying the same thing about your earthly master, about the men that were set up over you, right? If you serve the men that were set up over you properly as unto the Most High and not unto men, then you're truly serving the Most High. That's the same thing that Christ is saying. Christ is saying the exact same thing that Paul was saying. That's how you get the favor of the Most High. That's how you please the Most High, is by doing what he say. And God is not talking to you in your brain. That's called schizophrenia. There are men that were set up upon this earth to tell you what the Most High needs you to do. And that's how it's always been, ever since the beginning of time. All right, keep reading.
Verse 24. He that loveth me not keepeth not my saying.
And just like what we just read, now we're reading the polar opposite. And if you don't love Christ, then you just won't keep his sayings. See, you could say you love the Most High. You could say you love Christ. You could say, I love this truth. All of that sounds good coming out your mouth. Sounds good. It's called lip service. Sounds great. However, it don't mean a goddamn thing. What you say means nothing at all. It don't mean anything. Your actions is what counts. That's what the Most High is looking at. He's not looking at how many times you said count out of one count if you didn't get the order done. He's not looking at how many times you got on your knees and you prayed. He's not looking at that. What are you doing to serve the Most High? That's what he's looking at. And if your works ain't there, because see, that's like having faith without works. And we all know that James said it. We see it all throughout the Bible. Faith without works is dead. It means nothing. So the things that you say, you can say you love God. You can say, every night you can get on your knees and you can pray and thank God for all that he's done for you and all of that. But at the end of the day, God is looking at what you're doing. And Christ is telling us that same thing. He that loveth me not, meaning if you that don't love Christ, you don't keep his sayings. Keep going.
God. And the word which ye hear, and the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me.
And see, this is the problem. Christ, just like what Paul said, he's not saying anything out of his own volition. He's not doing that. He's saying the things that come from the commandment of God. So if you don't want to keep those sayings, really, you just don't want to keep the Father's sayings. Really, you don't want to serve the Most High. You want to serve yourself, because the second that you get told to do something that you don't like, you flip. And that's what so many people got to get out of it. See, that's what the Christian church has created, those types of people. People that just are like a leaf in the wind. They just do where they just go wherever they flow. That's the Christian culture, right? You go to whatever church makes you happy, whatever church gives you the best performance and has the best bass player and drum player. You're gonna just float around. Just there's no loyalty, there's no allegiance. You understand?
Yeah, you worship your own God.
You worship your own God, the thing that makes you feel good. I want y'all to understand something. The God of this Bible don't always make you feel good. Sometimes you got to do things that you don't like. You understand? Sometimes you have to do things that you don't like, and it's of God, and you have to do it because that's what God told you to do. Just like your father tell you to take out that trash. I do not want to get up and take out this trash. I want to play the video game. But my father told me I got to get up and take out the trash. It's my duty. It's my responsibility. It's my job. May not feel good. Got to go get this trash, round it up, take it all the way across the street, take it to the alleyway. I don't want to do that. However, I'm going to do what the hell my father told me to do. And what we got to do is start thinking about the Most High like a father. And you better start doing what the Most High told you to do. That's once again, you can't serve the Most High without discipline, without order, and without obedience. Right. And the sooner that we understand that, we could be a nation full of men and women that are thriving because we're going to follow the commands of our Father and we'll get out of these curses. But all it takes is just obedience. And it starts, once again, like Christ said, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. It starts by following the men that the Most High has set up right here, right in front of your face, that you want to ignore. They're right here in front of you. All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close out. I'm going to pass the class. Let me make sure. Yeah, let me pass the class over to Priest Officer Matazar.
ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, starting out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for a new brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If a brother, if they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, you can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Means 10th in the Hebrew, ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Peace funds, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming Holy Convocation, the Feast of Purim, which is the 14th day of the 15th day of the 12th month, Thursday, 13th March, and Friday.
It's February.
March. It's like February.
February 22nd and 23rd.
I'm still on the other one. So February. It's like February what?
February 22nd and 23rd. This Thursday and Friday.
Okay, con. All All right, this Thursday and Friday. And with that, it's like if any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. And with that, we're gonna do one courtesy salute to the teacher, Men of Israel, Majim, which means to stand. Men of Israel, Majim Shabbat, Majim, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatam. Yadi Matah, class dismissed.